Taiwan inks agreement to build oil tank for Eswatini. 52 million airbag inflators should be recalled over Rupture threat. China bans government officials from using iPhones for work. Turkey agrees in principle to handle 1 million tons of Russian grain for Africa. Gold retreats as growth risks drive safe haven bids to US dollar. Myanmar's jails ex-leader Aung San Suu Kyi ailing. Japan tells WTO China's Fukushima-linked seafood ban is unacceptable. Armenia to conduct drills with US troops next week.
Hello, I'm Johnny. Thank you for joining us on Funday News. It's Thursday, September 7th, and here are your top stories. Taiwan will build an oil tank for its African Airline, Eswatini. The agreement was signed between Jeff Chon, General Manager of Taiwanese company Overseas Investment and Development Corp., and Nalapala Dlamini, the Chief Executive of state-owned Eswatini National Petroleum Company. The two countries also signed the two other agreements to provide Taiwanese loans to women entrepreneurs in Eswatini and to establish a sister city relationship between Kaohsiung and Mbabane, Eswatini's capital.
I enjoy the friendship that you offered to us, and I hope this friendship will continue and deepen.
The agreement comes as President Tsai Ing-wen makes an in-country visit to the African nation and King Mswati III, who received Tsai as she arrived in the country on Tuesday. Tsai wrote on social media that the trip was off to a productive start, and that 3 bilateral agreements had already been signed. Minister of Economic Affairs Wang Mei-hua said the recent financing agreement is an extension to a program launched in 2020 that has helped 5,000 Eswatini women in business and training programs.
The U.S. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration said on Tuesday that 52 million airbag inflators produced by auto suppliers ARC Automotive and Delphi Automotive need to be recalled because they may rupture and send dangerous metal fragments flying. NHTSA first demanded a voluntary recall in May, but ARC rejected it. The agency issued an initial decision on Tuesday and set a public meeting for October 5th in a rare move to compel a recall.
If successful in forcing a recall, the callback would be one of the largest on record. From 2000 through early 2018, the inflators that NHTSA is seeking to have recalled have been used by 12 automakers, including General Motors, Ford Motor, Stellantis, Tesla, Toyota Motor, Hyundai, Kia, Mercedes-Benz, BMW and Volkswagen. NHTSA said it is aware of 7 confirmed inflator ruptures in the United States in the vehicles it seeks to have recalled, including 7 injuries and 1 death.
The Wall Street Journal reported on Wednesday, citing people familiar with the matter, that China ordered officials at central government agencies not to use Apple's iPhones and other foreign-branded devices for work or bring them into the office. According to the report, in recent weeks, those staffers were given the instructions by their superiors in workplace chat groups or meetings. But it wasn't clear how widely the orders were being distributed. The iPhone maker's shares were down 1.5% in early trading.
China has banned officials at central government agencies from using iPhones for work. They also won't be allowed to bring them into the office.
China is one of Apple's biggest markets and generates nearly a fifth of its revenue. Reuters said the ban comes ahead of an Apple event next week that analysts believe will be about launching a new line of iPhones, and could trigger concerns among foreign companies operating in China. Several analysts said on Wednesday that the reported move showed Beijing was not willing to spare any U.S. company in its push to reduce its dependence on American technology.
Russia said on Wednesday that Turkey had agreed in principle to handle 1 million metric tons of grain that Russia plans to send to Africa at a discounted price with financial support from Qatar. According to the Russian news agency Interfax, Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Alexander Grushko told reporters, all agreements in principle have been reached. We expect that in the near future, we will enter into working contracts with all parties to work out all the technical aspects of the scheme for such deliveries.
Moscow proposed the arrangement after quitting a year-old deal in July. Moscow says it quit the prior deal because the West has failed to remove obstacles to its own grain and fertilizer exports created by sanctions, but also complained that too little of the grain freed by the Black Sea deal was getting to the poorest countries. Russia has sought to court African countries, some of which have been suffering food shortages, by offering them free or discounted grain, albeit far less than Ukraine had been exporting.
U.S. gold slipped to a one-week low on Tuesday on rising bond yields and a jump in the U.S. dollar as investors sought a hedge against global economic growth concerns. Spot gold was down 0.6% at $1,926.21 per ounce by 2:23 p.m. EDT. U.S. gold futures settled 0.7% lower at $1,952.60. Reuters said silver shed 1.8% to $23.53 per ounce, logging its biggest daily drop in a month. Platinum dipped 2.6% to $929.54, and palladium eased 0.6% to $1,214.45.
Senior market analyst at OANDA Edward Moya said, "The global growth slowdown story will eventually prove to be a positive for gold, and that would only come once the market becomes more skeptical about the U.S. recession risks." Senior research analyst Lukman Otunuga at FXTM said in a note, "The precious metal is showing signs of exhaustion on the daily charts, with weakness below the 50-day SMA, simple moving average, opening a path back toward $1,920.
Myanmar has detained former Ailing leader Aung San Suu Kyi. A request for an outside physician to see her has been denied by the country's military rulers. A source familiar with the matter and the shadow government loyal to her said on Tuesday the 78-year-old Nobel laureate was suffering swelling in her gums and could not eat well and is feeling lightheaded along with vomiting. The junta sent a prison department doctor to treat her instead. The military overthrew Suu Kyi's elected government in early 2021.
Suu Kyi is facing 27 years of detention related to 19 criminal offenses. She denies all the charges for which she was convicted, ranging from incitement and election fraud to corruption, and has been appealing against them. In July, she was moved to house arrest from prison in the capital, Naypyidaw. Many governments have called for the unconditional release of Suu Kyi and thousands of other political prisoners. The United States, European Union and Great Britain have targeted the Southeast Asian country's military with sanctions.
Late on Monday, the Japanese Foreign Ministry said Tokyo had told the World Trade Organization that China's ban on Japanese seafood after the release of treated water from the Fukushima nuclear plant was totally unacceptable, in a counter-argument to China's August 31st notification to WTO on its measures to suspend Japanese aquatic imports, which started last month. Japan said it would explain its positions in relevant WTO committees and urged China to immediately repeal the action.
Japan's Chief Cabinet Secretary Hirokazu Matsuno told reporters on Tuesday the country will explain the safety of the released water at diplomatic forums, including the ASEAN Summit in Indonesia and G20 Summit in India this month. In a separate statement on Monday, Tokyo's foreign ministry said Japan has also asked China to hold discussions over the import ban based on the provisions of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP, Trade Pact.
Armenia said on Wednesday it will host a joint army exercise with the United States next week. The Armenian Defense Ministry said the purpose of the September 11th to 20th Eagle Partner 2023 exercise was to prepare its forces to take part in international peacekeeping missions. A U.S. military spokesperson said 85 U.S. soldiers and 175 Armenians would take part. He said the Americans included members of the Kansas National Guard, which has a 20-year-old training partnership with Armenia.
Armenia Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan has accused Russia of failing to protect Armenia against what he called continuing aggression from Azerbaijan. Russia has a military base in Armenia and sees itself as the preeminent power in the South Caucasus region, which until 1991 was part of the Soviet Union. Russia maintains a peacekeeping force in the region to uphold an agreement that ends a war between Armenia and Azerbaijan in 2020, the second they have fought since the Soviet collapse.
The answer for yesterday was A, plunge. The stock market took a plunge yesterday. Did you answer correctly? Now let's delve into the news of 52 million airbag inflators being recalled over rupture threat. Number 1, rupture, 断裂使断裂. The impact rupture both fuel tanks. Number 2, recall, 召回残吹货品. The company has recalled all the faulty hair dryers. Number 3, compel, 强迫使强迫. I feel compelled to write and tell you how much I enjoy your book. Next, we have a multiple choice question for everyone to practice. Which answer would you choose? You can write your answer in the comments section. The correct answer will be announced tomorrow. And that's all for today's Funday News. Be sure to tune into Funday News from Monday to Friday and click the link below to join Funday for free. I'm Johnny Wu, your host. I'll see you next time.